Hello, students. In this section today, Friday, there's a lot to cover, but there's not much in each section. So I'm kind of getting through this as um, expediently as I can and efficiently for today. I know you've all had a very rough week, and I'm just trying to bring you through Learning Objective 9.6, 9.7, and 9.8. Now, in Learning Objective 9.6, we are going to be talking about, one second here, we are going to be talking about which I think is quite significant, the changing nature of leadership. So we're going to be looking at leaders as coaches and gender and leadership and cross-cultural leadership. So let's talk about leaders as coaches, which they should all be anyway. They should all be mentors. Many organizations are becoming less hierarchical, changing the role of the leader from overseer to coach. Mentors help less experienced employees learn the ropes and better prepare them to advance within the organization. And I know many of you probably had good mentors along the way. Maybe some of you are doing interning, and your internships are very rewarding because you're working with good mentors who are leaders trying to help you get into business and industry. But executives can coach their senior managers. They help them to develop decision-making skills, and they equip them with the information they need to help lead the firm in the direction set. So the leader keeps a low profile and lets the group get its work done with little or no direct oversight, such as a coach would do during a, say, sports event. Gender and leadership is the next thing. Contrary to stereotypes, female leaders are not necessarily more nurturing or supportive than male leaders. Male leaders are not systematically harsher, controlling, or task focused than female leaders, any more than them. Females do tend to be more democratic in making decisions. Males tend to be more autocratic. Gender, nature, I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I would agree with that 100%, but the stereotyping should not be there. Then you have cross-cultural leadership. Culture encompasses both international differences and diversity-based differences within one culture. Cross-cultural factors play a growing role in organizations as workforces now become more and more diverse. Finally, collectivism places the group before the individual, while individualism places the individual before the group. Something I want you to take away from this learning objective is culture refers to international differences among people, but they often forget that culture also includes diversity. We often forget that. And it's important to remember that diversity-based differences can exist within one culture. So on a reflection of what I just went over, you may want to ask, is the United States a collectivist culture or an individualistic culture? And what is a new role for a leader maybe is to become a coach rather than an overseer. What do you think has brought about this change in leadership focus? And finally, do men and women tend to lead differently? If so, how? Okay, so take a minute or two to reflect on that. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to learning objective 9.7, and that is to describe strategic leadership, ethical leadership, and virtual leadership. So, what is strategic leadership? And we covered some of this in class already. But strategic leadership is a leader's ability to understand the complexities of both the organization and its environment, and to lead change in the organization, is so to enhance its competitiveness. Ethical leadership is a leader's ability to maintain high ethical standards for his or her own conduct, to unfailingly exhibit ethical behavior. Remember, a leader is setting example, and to hold others in the organization to the same standards. That's important. Virtual leadership, the third item here, refers to leadership that is exhibited when leaders and their employees work in locations that are far or away from one another. This may be a practice in companies that are virtually international. So, something to ask here. Virtual leadership, as I mentioned earlier, involves managing employees who work in different locations than the manager. You may want to reflect on what are some advantages and disadvantages of virtual leadership from the manager's perspective. And secondly, how can a manager show leadership in this kind of an environment? Okay, that will be the end of this lecture, phase 1.